So, good afternoon. This is the first meeting of the Safe Streets for Broward Oversight Committee. And I'm so pleased to see all of you here. I think part of the reason that I think this group will be successful is because all of you generally volunteered to be here. You indicated you wanted to participate. And also, we are making an effort to be respectful of your time and to make these meetings worth your while. And I think we did a good job with the BSAP because a lot of you who are on our technical working group and oversight committee wanted to continue on. So we appreciate that. We have a pretty full agenda. Today's meeting is going to be kind of setting the stage for what happens now that the safety action plan is done. And so this meeting will not necessarily be like all the others, but there will be some overlapping elements. I want to run through the agenda real quick. There we go. All right. So I'll be welcoming you all, and then you all will have 30 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what's your greatest concern and what's driving you to be here. As an organizing principle for this group, we need to establish some bylaws. So we sent a copy of that with the agenda packet, and we will take comments. It is not official until you all have approved it. So if you have comments, we're open to hearing those. And then one of your tasks as part of this group is to provide a review, an annual report card and progress report that we need to send to our federal partners. That's part of the requirement for the funding that we needed to report back on what we hope is progress in achieving greater safety on our roadways. Another effort that this group will undertake is dealing with policy level work with each of your local agencies, those of you that are with local government. And so we'll have a little presentation about that. I want to leave it open if you have any other items you want to bring up, if you can tell me now or it can come up later. We'll have a bit of a group discussion and we'll confirm our next meeting date. With these items on the agenda, is there anything that anybody wants to make sure that we bring up today that is not on the agenda? And again, that's item 6. So at any point you can let us know if you have anything you want to say. Before we get started, I do want to introduce some things about what we've done already. I'm James Cormar. I'm a Deputy Executive Director here at the Broward MPO, and I have Fazil Qureshi when I am gone in a little over a year that he will be leading this effort. And I do want to make a couple of notes. As you all came in, we wanted to make sure that you got a copy of the Safety Action Plan that the Broward MPO Board approved on February 12th, 2026. And we are now in the process of closing out the grant. We have till July 4th, so a few weeks. And so that we'll be officially closed out with that, but we will have ongoing activities that we need to be taking care of. Since we got approval of the Safety Action Plan, we did receive an award from the National Association of Regional Councils, and it's an achievement award at a regional level for the Broward Safety Action Plan. So all of you are part of this. We could arrange a rotating schedule if you want to take it and, show it at your office and such, but it'll be in our front area there. And then we just found out last week that the Safe Streets Design Guidance Manual received a state award for innovation for the Build a Better Mousetrap at the Florida level, and it will be going to a national level. So I don't know what kind of award we'll get, maybe a gold mousetrap or something of that sort. So anyway, so I do want to remind us why we're here. These numbers that we have here are the ones that we use as the basis for our safety action plan, the 2018 to 2022. Item number 6, with the progress report, we have updated information, but just a reminder that we are here to address roadway safety. The safety action plan at the federal level, they want to emphasize death and serious injury. And so we have about 50,000 crashes a year on the roadways in Broward, about 4 people killed every week and 18 more seriously injured. And that adds up to about 1,000 people a year. Some of those numbers are going down, some are going up. And then, as you can see on the map, there are high injury network. About 77% of our death and killed and serious injury crashes are occurring on 6% of our roadways. So that's been an easy way to focus. But I do want to acknowledge that a lot of our local partners have received funding to do safety action plans at a local level. And so some of you will be participating on this committee representing those local interests. So Sebastian, you guys got one. And then Daniel here with Lauderhill, they have applied this year for funding for a safety action plan. The funding cycle for, hey, Karen, you got another one too. So the funding cycle for the SS4A this time, we had 12 local agencies apply for funding. We had 3 implementation requests, 4 demonstration. Yeah, 4 demonstration, and then 5 plan. That's up to 12. Yeah, so so 5 different planning grants. And I do want to highlight with Barbara, where is she? That the 2 of the demonstration grants were for a whole blood program. And this is something with post-crash care that we didn't necessarily know how to lead. And Allison, too, maybe that's of interest, but there's programs from a couple of the cities. City of Sunrise already has a program in place where they can travel with their emergency vehicles and have fresh blood, that they can do blood transfusions right away. And so a couple of other cities are pursuing funding for that program. And it's important about keeping the blood cool and having fresh and the appropriate blood, all these different things. So that's an exciting opportunity. Anyway, so being able to focus on our high injury network, and then there's also an economic cost to crashes, the impact to different people, their loss of livelihood, medical care, things of that sort, adds up to about 22.8 billion. So as we look at a cost benefit analysis, that's a trade-off that we can address. Going very briefly, we do want to touch on the 3 major themes that we learned as we went through the safety action plan, dealing with speed, mid-block crossings, and lighting. That speed is a key element for roadway safety. A car moving faster and hitting somebody, the likelihood of serious injury increases proportionally from there. And there are issues about having to respond quickly and being able to stop and what it is that you're able to see. And so we had a lot of discussion about speed, and I'm careful to talk about speeding because it might look, how do me just on the street, how can I tell somebody's speeding? But there's a question of the appropriate speed for the context. And so that is something that we've been looking at, different tools for different kinds of roadways in different places. And our Safe Streets Design Guidance Manual touches a lot on that, about looking at context classification and then the appropriate tools for those particular roadways. So there's some examples of different ways of dealing with speed. And again, probably not the speed tables on 6-lane arterials or the traffic circles, but there are various things that can happen in different roadways. Second, as we look at mid-block crossings, Stephanie is here from Broward County Transit. We worked well with Romari and Antigone, looking at the location of bus stops where they are not necessarily located at signalized intersections. They might be mid-block, and that is where it's kind of inviting for people, if they get off a transit vehicle, to just cross. Or me, I also don't always go to the crosswalk. Here's an example in Fort Lauderdale where there's a bus stop that's about 1,000 feet from 2 different signalized intersections. And so a person getting off that bus, are they likely to do a 5 to 10 minute walk to go up to the signal and cross the street? They're probably more likely to just cross mid-block. And here's a picture of that situation. So there are things that we can do, and we will, as one of our recommendations, move forward with looking at mid-block crossings and how to make those standardized and how those can move forward more quickly. Here's one that is in Wilton Manors on a state facility. I do need to note, I don't know if any of you worked on this, but it's kind of backward. The idea, I think we've talked about this. Who said, yeah? You know why it's backward? Hit your, and for everybody, I should have mentioned this before. You have a little button on your screen. The mic is on or off. We are recording the meeting. We do have some people here virtually. So we want to be able to, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Juan Saavedra. Well, if you come in either south or north, it's confusing because the crossway is facing you, but also seems that it's on the other side.
And that's the point. It should be that as you cross, then as you go the other way, it should direct you to look at the oncoming traffic. And this one, it's just the mirror image, but it's better than nothing, I guess, but just for future note. And then thirdly, we talked a lot about lighting and how we investigated what lighting has to do with death and serious injury. And we were very surprised that it wasn't necessarily dark conditions, but there were dark conditions where there was some lighting, but it might not necessarily be in the right place or the right configuration. And so we're looking at ways to increase safety with better lighting. And again, Stephanie, you're going to get credit for Broward County Transit with the bus stops with the solar powered LED lighting. There's plans to have those all throughout the county, and that's very helpful to increase visibility. And then there's a question of visibility for people walking from the bus stop to the corners and things of that sort. So with that, I just wanted to lay the foundation for what it is that we are doing here and why this is important. And again, I appreciate everybody being here. With that, I want to have each of you take about 30 seconds and tell us who you are, what your role is with your agency, and then what's your biggest concern or focus. Fazil, give us the example of how to do this.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Awesome. So Fossil Kership, RMPO, senior engineer. What is our biggest focus and concern is trying to figure out how we can program projects to get our traffic intelligence and safety down to zero. All right. Who wants to-
Let's go with Cecilia.
All right.
Okay. Cecilia Viloria, I work with CHA Consulting, and I guess my biggest goal is to address safety during design.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to zigzag. Carrie.
Hello, Carrie McNeil, Broward MPO Senior Planner. My biggest focus here is to make sure that we are incorporating some metrics for the Broward Safety Action Plan in the REV program, the Roads for Economic Vitality program.
Great. Thank you. Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie Yesbeck. I work for SFRTA or Tri-Rail. I am the manager of planning and capital development there. And right now, our biggest concern or focus is rail safety. So through this program, we're identifying areas where pedestrian or vehicular crossings alongside or intersecting with our rail line.
Thank you.
Maksud Mohammed Nasir. Good afternoon to all of you. I work for City of Lauderdale Lakes as a Director of Engineering Services and Construction Management. Definitely, yes, as I work for the city, like other cities, we do have concern about pedestrian fatalities and vehicular issues too. And I have gone through the past phase. So basically, thanks to you to get me in with this phase. Thank you.
We're going to do Sebastian and Michael. Then we want to go to the people who are online. Sebastian.
Oh, hello. I'm Sebastian. I'm with the City of Oakland Park. I'm a project manager for the engineering department. My main concern is being able to have all this information and tools that can be implemented for the city and make it safer for our residents.
Great. Michael.
Good afternoon. Michael Rigetti, Transportation Manager, City of Coconut Creek. Serious injury and fatalities is my biggest concern, and how do we reduce those numbers significantly? So glad to participate in the Oversight Committee.
And I'll toot your horn a little bit. Coconut Creek is hosting a groundbreaking next week for a project on Lions Road to improve lighting for increased safety. Let's go to our people who are virtual. Fazil, can you help us?
Yeah, so first off, Katie Cares from FDOT. Katie, you can unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me? All right, so I was going to put it in the chat because I didn't see an option to do that. So I'm Katie Karras, I'm the District 4 Safety Administrator. And I would say our biggest approach lately, really in the last year, has been doing more of a data-driven approach, looking at fatalities and serious injuries in those emphasis areas, behavior-wise, for our education and outreach versus just continuing to do like repeat events or trying to get everywhere, is really trying to focus on where our issues are. Thank you.
Up online, we have Marianne Winfield from Smart Growth Partnerships.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Marianne Winfield with Smart Growth Partnership. I'm the vice chair. And I question, if I might, why we have so many billboards that talk about the lawyers that are able to save everybody from whatever their traffic accident was, why they are not contributing to the funding that we need in our community. How do we get them to feel responsible to help fund better safety on the roadways?
Thank you. That's interesting.
Okay, Milos from City of Fort Lauderdale, you're up next.
Good afternoon, Milos Majstorovic, Director for the city's Transportation and Mobility Department. Pleasure and honor to be here, really motivated to help any way I personally can to reduce number of KSIs, number one. Number two, also work with you and anyone else to just help our legislators come up with the laws that would make our jobs easier and reduce KSIs ultimately, because not all solutions lay within our design and engineering solutions.
All right, next up we have Nadima Vega from Town of Davie. Nadima, if you can unmute yourself. Oh,
Doesn't have a microphone. Okay.
right.
So she's with the fire rescue and she was going to be with Chief Barnes also. So
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Rachel Solomon from Memorial Health. If Rachel's able to speak. Rachel, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, Rachel Solomon, Memorial Healthcare, Adult and Pediatric Trauma, Sub-B Regional, and Joe DiMaggio, and then Safe Kids Broward County. I would say that I'm also very excited to be here. I've enjoyed participating in the group, and I think my biggest goal would be to reduce injuries of all road users.
All right, awesome. Next up, we have Rhodey Barnes from Town of Davie.
yeah, he's with Nadima if he has a mic.
Okay, so Rhodey Barnes does not have a
No mic. Okay. He's the fire chief.
All right, and then we have Unique Kelly from FDOT. Unique, you should be able to speak.
Hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Hi, good afternoon. Yannick Kelly from FDOT District 4 Office of Modal Development, and I work in the rail section. And as a rail safety project coordinator, one of the things I aim towards is to educate the public on rail safety. So I am all for rail safety and helping the traveling public travel safely across railroad crossings.
Perfect. So I guess we can get back to the audience. Yes, Christopher.
Christopher went, didn't he?
No, but that's okay.
We talked so much before the meeting.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Christopher Restrepo. I'm the Regional Planning Manager at the Broward MPO, and my focus is on finding funding within our Metropolitan Transportation Plan to get these projects programmed.
And where Christopher is sitting, I can't see that bright yellow shirt, but I'm sure all the rest of you can. Go Columbia, right? Okay. All right. Let's go to Allison.
Good afternoon, Allison Zerby, Broward County Medical Examiner and Trauma Services. We focus on a daily basis on trauma quality of care, but as for this meeting, we would like to focus on pedestrian safety because that's what we've seen an increase in locally.
Okay. Mike.
Michael Melendez, I'm representing the Department of Transportation Office of Modal Development and also in direct support of Martha Morales, the Bike and Ped coordinator. I think one of the important things to me is just trying as a design engineer is trying to identify innovations in infrastructure that really can have a meaningful impact on serious injuries and fatalities, but then also how to get them into projects, considering that standards might not allow for them, approved product lists and things like that. So trying to get through that to see if we can do quick builds and other things that we can use for pilot projects.
Let's go to Martha, see if she agrees with him.
Well, thank you, Michael. Yes, I am Martha Morales, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Coordinator with District 4, Office of Modal Development. And my main concern is to reduce fatalities in transportation for bicycle and pedestrians.
Great. Barbara.
Hi, my name is Barbara. I'm the nursing director at the Florida Department of Health in Broward County, and our main concern is to continue educating our clients on prevention, particularly with our children with car seats and pedestrian safety as well.
Great. Tracy.
Good afternoon, Tracy Shi, deputy city engineer. My role focuses on the engineering improvement to roadways and also facilitate from every aspect over the 4 years to improve safety. And we currently focus more on the systematic approach and proactively improve safety. Thank you.
Brad.
Brad Salisbury, DOT design. Focus area, I think, we have big DOT turnout here today, probably close to 10 people. So just keep up the momentum of the groundwork laid by the group so far. The dashboard, I think, is especially good example for statewide, even nationwide efforts. So trying to keep up the good work.
And with those tenure accountants, Scott, because Scott's no longer with FDOT.
Yeah, well, he's here, but not here. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this Scott. Yeah.
That Scott, yeah.
Yeah. No, well, not him.
Go ahead, Scott.
Good afternoon, Scott Thurman. I'm with Broward County Highway Construction Engineering. And I think my biggest concern is just trying to find the projects where we can implement these safety features throughout the projects that are in our work program, and just ensuring that we're always thinking of safety and implementing these features throughout. So ensuring that with our team and making sure we're giving safety a foremost thought in our design process.
Great. I'm going to jump to Richard. Do you comment on what we're doing here?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to make sure Scott does his work. So that's so no, actually, we're looking for geometric designs that we come up with, and we had some positive feedback on the raised crosswalk and all that. So certain things we want to try out. So it's my job to see if we can do that on certain projects.
Let's go to Stephanie.
Stephanie Jarrett with Broward County Transit. I am a planner, and our main focus is pedestrian safety and just overall safety for our passengers.
Rana.
Good afternoon, Brana Keel with FDOT District 4, Planning and Environmental Management Office. I'm the project development supervisor, and I lead the scope refinement team. And my goal is to incorporate more safety improvements into each project that we program essentially.
Great. Carmelo.
Good afternoon, Carmelo Cartazolo, Broward County Traffic Engineering. Our primary focus, or at least for my side, is we manage 28 agreements with 28 municipalities, and we conduct various studies. So finding a way to make any improvements or suggest improvements to the cities that they can implement to reduce crashes or injuries or any fatalities.
I guess you're going to jump in, Leah.
Sure, why not? Leader Ariel, City of Miramar Engineering. My biggest focus and concern is finding funding so we can get these improvements built.
Rossum.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Rossum Awad, Director of Traffic Engineering at Broward County. Our focus naturally is to incorporate safety in our operations and maintenance of traffic control devices, that's signs, signals, and pavement markings. My concern is funding, like everybody, but Christopher's got us covered there, right?
Hey, Bintang.
Good afternoon. I'm Ming-Tong Li, Broward County Traffic Engineering Division as well. I was assistant project managers from Broward County side, working closely with James Faso, Tony Huey, the consultant team, as well as the rest of you in the past couple of years. I don't know how the time fly by, but anyway, I think the primary focus, speaking from my perspective at this point, is finding the resource and mechanism to implement projects identified in the BSAP.
Rick.
Hello, my name is Rick Meidinger. I'm with the City of Hollywood's Engineering Department. I've been employed in this profession down in this area since about the mid 1970s, and most of what we did back then, when there was only one mode of transportation, created the problems that you guys are trying to solve now. So some of it's guilt that I'm here to try and help out, but our city is growing really fast, and whenever we can intervene and make something safer, more operationally efficient, using the tools that are developed by this group, that's what I'm all about right now.
Jonathan.
I get to follow Rick. Hi, Rick. This is Jonathan Overton. I am with DOT, District Traffic Operations Engineer. I would say some of my top focus areas and things that I deal with on a regular basis are whether to authorize change in speed limits, whether to authorize new crosswalks, marked crosswalks, and whether to authorize traffic signals, new traffic signals. We get a lot of these sorts of requests. So that's kind of high on the list lately.
Eric.
Hi, Eric Power, Deputy City Manager of City of Deerfield Beach. As a planner, I have seen too many master plans sit on a shelf and die. And my biggest concern is ensuring that this document, this beautiful documents you've created, actually can get produced. And that means that, it's fantastic. My people are here and the diverse amount of positions and responsibilities we all have, but there's managers, there's elected officials, there's the public, and they all have to be involved in this too, in order to ensure that these things get done. We have state and federal encroachment on issues. Of course, we have potential reduction of funding throughout the entire state. Capital projects are almost always the first thing to go. So my biggest concerns are, how do we make sure that the people who really do make the decisions on these projects are aware of this and they get the proper push.
Juan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juan Saavedra. I'm with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. We do economic development in Broward County. The first, learning. Second, how to amplify all the efforts that all the municipalities are doing for the safety of the roads, and also how to get the business community involved.
Max.
I'm Max Goldstein. I'm with a local advocacy group called Better Streets Broward, which is our Strong Towns local conversation. And we are for more walkable and safer cities, better urban planning. And I guess our job is to help get the local elected officials to listen to you guys and let you implement these kinds of projects.
Darren.
Karen Warfel with the City of Fort Lauderdale Transportation Department, the Planning Division Manager. I think my main focus is, like pretty much everybody said, with the cost escalations, how do we continue to grow our partnerships to implement this plan? And, we need everybody to work together on moving that forward. So trying to work from small little pavement markings with Rossum to bigger crossings with John.
Carol.
Carol Morris, Assistant City Administrator in Plantation. I hear a lot of what everybody's saying, and I relate to a lot of it. I think as a municipal government person looking at where we're at economically and where we're potentially about to go, my concern is we've spent a lot of time and money in recent years designing projects that are good projects and would have a significant benefit in terms of providing additional safety for our residents. And in this era of shrinking resources and competing demands, trying to figure out where we're going to find the funding to actually build those improvements.
Colleen.
My name is Colleen LaPlante. First, I'm very honored to be on this committee with all these amazing people. I am a longtime resident of the city of Coconut Creek. I live in the North End. I am very active in my community. I'm also the chair of the Planning and Zoning Board in Coconut Creek. I'm the chair of the Housing Finance Authority in Broward County, and I've been at my law firm for 40 years. I'm a government administrator. Thank you.
Ken.
And my name is Ken Reinhardt. I represent AARP and all things MPO and FDOT, and not just older adults, but tomorrow's older adults. This means everybody. We're all in this together. I'm chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and at the FDOT level, I participate in the Bike Ped Safety Coalition, and I'll have more to say about some ideas a little later on.
And then we'll get Josette and our our partners, and Davey, they fixed their mic. So Josette first.
Josette Severin, Multimodal Mobility Projects Administrator with Broward County's Surtax program. My biggest focus is to help facilitate bringing low-stress bicycle pedestrian infrastructure to Broward County.
All right. Nadima and
Yeah, so Nadame Vega, or Nana for short. Nana is a community provider and registered nurse with the Davie Fire Rescue. We focus on safety in all aspects and would like to hear more about pedestrian safety and teen safety while driving. And before James continues, does everyone know what this button does? Yes? You all know the word not to say, right? We don't say accident, we say crash, or else I will interrupt you. And you will hear my beautiful voice until you correct yourself. All right? So thank you.
all right. You know, we're going to go over the rules in a minute. I don't know that that's in there, but we could, if you want to add it, we could. But I do appreciate all the different perspectives. Previously, we had two different committees, an oversight committee and a technical working group. And so some of you have worked together in the past and some of you are just meeting each other for the first time. So for example, Colleen, you know, with what you do, you're involved with some of the stuff, but at a different level. And Juan and Allison and Barbara, you know, these are people that we don't always deal with in our regular meetings. So we really appreciate your perspectives. Marianne and Ken talking about communication, Max with some of the stuff that you all as citizens can advocate differently from us that are in agency positions. We're going to pull that out of you. This question about pedestrian safety and children and different ages and cars and moving safely, that combination of modes is very important. But then also we heard a lot about the funding. And so as we go through our report card and our progress report, we're going to talk about what are the recommendations that were in the plan. And we want to report back to you where we are making progress. And we're going to report back to you where we're not making progress. And we're going to look to you to say, please do what's necessary to make progress in this regard. So, you know, if it comes from our community group, it carries a little different weight than just us as staff saying what I think it should happen. So anyway, appreciate everybody's time. And you all did really well with staying under 30 seconds each. So now let's talk a little bit about our bylaws. This can go long or short, depending on how many comments you have, but we just wanted to share with you what we've set up with the bylaws. We did provide a copy to you as part of your agenda packet. So this first page has some information on the background of why we have this committee. And I talked a little bit about it before, how we got the SS4A grant, and then we need to do annual reporting back to our federal partners, working with the task force that represents a broad range of the community. And again, thank you all for representing that broad range. Some acronyms that we use in the plan itself. We do talk about the BSAP. You all are an oversight committee. Now that we've finished the safety action plan, we're kind of doing a switch, calling this Safe Streets for Broward, which also coincides with our website. So if anybody asks, Safe Streets for the number 4 Broward.org. Membership of the committee, as we talked about, it'll be a variety of different people representing transportation, community, law enforcement, health industry, private sector. And you all received letters saying, would you like to serve on this committee? So for example, Daniel here is not on the committee, but if Lauderhill is successful in getting an SS4A grant to do a local safety action plan, we'll invite him to come and be part of that group. Now is not the time we need to dive into it, but I will want you to think about who's missing from this group. We had some law enforcement people in the first go round, and we don't now necessarily. So that's something we may need to look at targeting. Once we get through the bylaws, we're going to go through a process of electing a chair and a vice chair. And so it talks about this process. We will look to meet twice a year. So rather than change the chair, vice chair every year, we thought we'd give a 2-year term. And the chair, the duty is basically to just run the meetings and kind of make sure things go forward. Probably running the meeting, a little preview. And I guess it's an opportunity for whoever is the chair to maybe chart some direction or work with us in doing that. And then the vice chair is there in case that person cannot continue that. We do want to talk to you a little bit later also about the cadence of meetings. We want to meet twice a year. And we want your input on when that should happen. We anticipate a schedule that would have one meeting where we're showing you the report card that we're going to send to the feds, and you're getting your feedback on that to make sure that it reflects what you want it to in our progress report. And then another meeting where we and even in the report card meeting, we'll have time, but we also want to bring in information on projects that are of interest to you that we can all learn from. For example, I've talked a little bit to Eric about the success and not so much success of the school enforcement cameras, how that can move forward. We have a variety of different things that we can learn from each other. But the duties of this group is reviewing the report card, monitoring implementation of the recommendations that we talked about, reviewing presentations. We talked about coordinating on the local safety action plans, and then the policy analysis we'll talk about a little bit more. And then we as MPO staff will take your feedback to our elected officials. You will get an agenda packet at least 7 days before the meeting. We want to be respectful of your time. We want to let you be prepared and know what's coming up. We would like you to attend in person. Again, we appreciate how many people are here today. We understand that sometimes conditions happen that you're not able to attend physically, so we do offer a virtual option, but we don't necessarily publicize that. So if you're in a situation where you need to attend virtually, just let us know and we'll send you the link. It changes at every meeting. Yeah, it's talked about virtual option. And then a quorum. We have about 50 people that are part of this committee. And our MPO attorney wanted to make sure that we established a quorum. Point is, if like 2 or 3 of you get together for coffee, that's not a meeting. We need to have at least 15 people. And even if we don't have 15, we can still go through with the agenda items. But I think if we have run good meetings, we will get you here and we will make good use of your time, and we'd want you to be here for that. We are open to public comments. We have some people here from the public, and you are the committee members, so you get up on the dais and the public can listen, and we'll have an opportunity for them if they'd like to say something toward the end of the meeting. Again, this is your committee, so we don't have to. The idea of having you as a committee is somebody new comes and it's their first meeting and they want to ask. No, this is your group. You all have learned. You all know what you're talking about, and so we'll be able to run orderly meetings. And then everything is subject to all the Florida regulations about sunshine and public records and things of that sort. There was the question with our attorney about should any of you be talking about any of the stuff that's going to come before this committee outside of the committee. I said, that's part of their job. Richard and Scott have been working on this 31st Avenue project, and it's working with the cities and all, so we are subject to the sunshine laws, but that's also, this group isn't going to make funding decisions. Most likely it's going to give input and feedback. So just be aware of that. So with that, does anybody have any comments, any questions about the law, the rules, bylaws? And Colleen, you work a lot with stuff like this, so I don't know if you have anything. Thumbs up, thumbs down, any concerns, questions? If you can hit the mic too.
There's going to be policy that we're going to be, policy issues that we're going to be voting on.
Not so much policy. We'll get to that a little bit later in the agenda. It's more of understanding what our local partners have and have not done in terms of implementing policy. So it's more of a monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good question.
James, James?
There. Okay. The speakers, I can't tell where you're coming from.
I should mention my name anyway. What's the total timeline for this committee? How many years?
It's going to be ongoing. I don't know, Fazla, if we're committed like 10 or 15 years, and each of you individually don't have to make that commitment right now today.
Yeah. So, something James, we may or may not touch on this meeting is our goal is 2050. So we do have to continuously produce a annual report card. As part of our grant agreement, I don't believe it gives a timeline for how many years we have to continue it, but we do, like what some of you have stated, we don't want this just sitting on a shelf. We're going to continuously update this in conjunction with our MTP plan. So a lot of the input that we receive from this committee, we're hoping to be able to incorporate it as part of our future safety or BSAP update as part of our metropolitan transportation plan updates.
I understand that's the implementation timeline. I'm talking about the committee. The committee you have now, what's the term? So how many years? It's not for 10 years or 50 after 2050. Definitely have certain timeline that you want to have this committee to continue. As you are going to set a chair and vice chair, they should have the term too. For how many years you want to have that chair and vice chair.
Yeah. So let's look a little more into it. I don't think that the feds gave us guidance on the number of years, but let you ask the question. Let's look into it. Oh, are you saying the term? So
Yeah.
the term of the chair would be 2 years.
Oh, yes, I see. Okay. And same for the members too, or?
No. So you all as members are welcome to come as long as you want. Rick, you have a lot of guilt to atone for, so you'll be here for a lot of meetings.
And guarantee I'll still be around. I'll make it till 2050. Okay.
2050.
But the term of the chair would be 2 years. So let's verify that, Fazil, if we talked about length of term anywhere else. So I'm trying to see. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, I do.
Oh, and now I know who's talking.
If someone wants to continue even after retirement, I think somebody already mentioned that will be in retirement anyway. If any member of this committee wants to continue even after the retirement, that will be acceptable or not?
Yes, so we are open to representing of different agencies, but then also different interest groups. So, for example, Ken is a charter example of somebody in retirement who's interested in this type of activity, and so he's participating. And we've also had on some of our other committees, like people have retired and then become members of our Citizens Advisory Committee for the MPO. So yeah, we could be open to that. Are you retiring soon? Is that the plan?
Do not retire. Not before 2040.
All right. Any other questions? Max, you're not retiring soon.
No, I'm not close to retirement. But my question was, if one of us does have to step away from the board, what's the process for replacing that position?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So again, we've talked up here about invitation through the board. So let us know. And for example, you're representing a particular interest group, and there may be somebody else from your group that want to participate. We do have a little bit of overlap with the Smart Growth Partnership with Mary Ann and Ken, but Ken does some other different things, and Mary Ann brings a different perspective. So yeah, we can talk about. But it'd be we would invite that person. So just talk to us. Yeah.
I have a question.
Awesome.
What does monitoring mean? And maybe we're going to get into that later. Just monitoring the plan and implementation. And are we monitoring every agency, all 31 municipalities, plus the county, plus the state? There are so many policy makers across all levels. So what is the role of monitoring? How can you really realistically track?
So, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording from the federal language, but it talked about having this committee that would review the annual report, the postcard, and then also monitor the implementation. There's a lot of different things going on. We're going to focus here on the BSAP recommendation, so what's come out of that. But then there's overlap, and each of our cities, I'll get in a second, Eric, each of our cities that are doing their local safety action plans, so Oakland Park and Fort Lauderdale and Plantation's doing some stuff in Deerfield Beach, maybe Miramar in the future, we can incorporate those findings into our safety action plan. So the list could grow of stuff that's going on. Monitor is, I'm asking you all to help keep us honest. So we made a lot of recommendations, and we wanted to make recommendations that were feasible. And so you can help us say, hey, you haven't done anything on this, so that's part of that. Does that answer that for you?
Thank you.
Eric?
I was just gonna bring up because, Deerfield Beach has a Vision Zero master plan, and we do a report card annual report card. And so my understanding of monitor is monitoring the progress of the master plan. And if in your master plan, you say you're gonna, fix Second Street, and you fix Second Street, then you're amending the plan to show that. In fact, with the SS4A grant, they want to see the list of things you've done, the progress and change that you've actually made those changes. So
yeah,
in the report card, to my understanding, that's what the monitoring refers to.
Yeah, and we're going to come and show you an example of how that report card will work and take your feedback on that. So thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so we'll follow up on some of these questions, but it doesn't look like there's major substantive changes to the bylaws then. So
just in general from everyone that's here, does anyone have any concerns or comments regarding the meeting cadence for twice a year?
Oh, okay. Chair first?
Yeah.
You don't have a chair.
I know. It's a position, not a physical piece of furniture. I'm standing. So, but we are open now to electing a chair and a vice chair. And I do want to open it up if anybody wants to self-nominate or nominate somebody else to be the chair. Floor is open.
I would like to nominate Karen,
Mhm.
Karen Orfel as this year.
As vice chair, because I would nominate Eric as the chair.
Okay. I saw Ken making a motion.
Yeah, if you're putting Eric's name in, I would second that.
I second both of those.
Who said that? Just that? Okay. Any other nominations then?
I'll do the same.
Any other nominations then? So by acclamation then, does the group support Eric Power as the chair?
Yeah.
All right. And you accept that nomination? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
All right. And Ms. Warfel, do you accept the nomination? That was pretty good footwork though. Yeah, deflection. All right. All right.
So Christine Banshee, who's online.
Oh, she got on. Okay. Did she want to introduce herself?
Christine, do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Good afternoon. This is Christine Fanchi with WSP representing the private practitioners. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, when somebody mentioned the consultants before, I was looking for Christine because she was going to be here virtually, so I'm glad she made it on. And I think everybody knows Christine. So, all right. Eric and Karen, I don't want to put you too much on the spot to run the rest of the meeting. So if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and talk about our meeting cadence. Do you want to make a speech to? I do have a timer too. So. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead then talking about our meeting cadence. So we wanted, and this is Fazil, what you wanted to get at, right? Yeah. Okay. So we wanted to establish our schedule, meeting twice a year. We will prepare a report card, and part of what we do is we update our safety dashboard each year after about August, September. The state goes through the Signal 4 data and cleans it up. And so about August, September is when they can get the previous full year's information and say that it's good to go. And then we process it and bring it into our model and into our safety dashboard. And then we would prepare our report from that. We talked about, could we count on that being done, let's say by November each year? And so what we want to do is offer a meeting in November this year, the week before Thanksgiving. And then we can also look to have another meeting, maybe February, March, and establish a cadence of that sort. Any thoughts, any feedback on that? If not, if we can, we were thinking November 18th is a Wednesday.
I have one comment. I don't know if it has to be like every 6 months that we have it, if it's just twice a year.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be every 6 months. Twice a year is what we're looking at. Yeah.
Wouldn't want it to be March and April becomes a spring break issue and like people can't make it. So I'd love it if it's just one of those times a year where there's really nothing else going on.
Thank you.
I meant vacation.
I hear somebody talking. No. Okay, well, let's look first at November. If we can aim for November 18th. We offered you all a morning or an afternoon time. More people could come in the afternoon.
Yeah, I like afternoon. And November 18 is it Wednesday or what day?
Wednesday.
Okay. Oh,
And it's similar to this one. It's the third Wednesday of the month.
so it's not going to conflict with tech meeting, is it?
No, actually, good question. So because Thanksgiving throws our schedules in a wrench, the TAC and the CAC Technical Advisory Committee and Citizens Advisory Committee would have been the night before Thanksgiving. We're not having it that day. And rather than having it early, it will be the first Wednesday in December. I think it's December 2nd. So it wouldn't compete with that. So if we aim for December 18th, we scheduled this meeting for an hour and a half. Our other meetings we scheduled for 2. And again, we want to be respectful of your time. If we don't need 2 hours, we won't use it. But 2 to 4 or 2:30 to 4:30.
And it's November 18th, right?
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, November 18th. I'm sorry.
2 o'clock. I will have some problem. Because
Okay. 2:30 works well for people?
That works.
2:30 to 4:30?
No? Go ahead, Ms. Morris. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so it's not necessarily recurring. And I'm amazed this far in advance you have issues with it. So
Oh.
that was a different conversation.
Yeah, we could look at the day before maybe games.
Well, Barbara, I saw a hand. Okay. We could look at the Tuesday, the 17th. That make any difference?
that will be better for, especially for me.
But then that also might get with some cities commission meetings
That's
on
my
Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Does anybody else have an issue with the Wednesday at 2:30?
Wednesday 2:30,
Okay.
2:30 will work with me. If it
Okay.
does not work, then yes, you can move on 17, but not at 2 o'clock on 18. No.
All right. So just as Maksud nominated Karen and then it switched. But this sounds like a recommendation that I think will, okay. So we'll send out information from November 18th. And then the following meeting, we can aim for something now or maybe even November. I don't know. What?
I think we should better.
See how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. We'll have our vacation plans better set.
And then,
And I'm sorry, Karen. Go ahead, Karen.
so you said you're going to have the report card by that point?
That will be the test. Yeah, that'll be the test if we can get it done by November, and we may or may not be able to. So, but we do have other items which we'll talk about in a little bit.
I'm just thinking like with our interaction with that and what we've accomplished on the plan, like giving us time too ahead of that meeting,
Okay.
giving us a draft or a template of what things the cities can do to implement that plan. I know there's so much in your plan. Like, how do we even know if what we're doing is a tiny element out of something? I think that's going to be the challenge of this group of, and I know we had it when we did our Vision Zero. How do you quantify all the things that everybody's doing towards the goal? It's hard. So
Yeah.
if we had like a template or something that we can kind of fill in as we go, we did these projects to make it easier.
That's so funny. That's the
Oh,
next
look at that.
item. God. Go ahead, Eric.
That, and you need some time, I guess, to review the report card and then to make a recommendation for it. So when is it due? Where have you created a timeline for when it's due to you in the federal
They just set it on an annual basis.
on an annual basis? So
And we are wanting to time it when we have the latest information. And in fact, let me
not giving yourself enough time.
let me hand it over to Fazil right now. They can answer questions, but we'll aim for November 18th, 2:30 to 4:30.
All right, so we're gonna go over just really briefly on how our annual safety snapshot looks like, which is our report card. And then also about how we are going to be tracking and reporting on the many, many actions that are listed in this plan, which you all have a copy of this, right? Right? Yes, perfect. All right. So for our annual snapshot, we did make some changes from what is posted on our website at the moment, but they're very minor changes. It's more just formatting. So the first page of our annual safety snapshot is just going to provide a really brief overview and what we're tracking. For instance, we're not tracking crashes on interstate facilities, right? Since that was excluded from our goal. We also have some information regarding the role of our oversight committee, as well as where most of our information is being derived from, which is our safety dashboard at safestreetsforbroward.org.
And
Second-
Fazil, let me just clarify. We do track the data for all the roadways, including expressways, but in our statistics, we focus on.
Correct. For our annual safety snapshot, we focus on the just the surface streets, as we call it. So this is an example of our annual snapshot for 2025. I'm well aware it's 2026. It is not an error. But the way that we're going to move forward our annual safety snapshots is, since our data is about a year old every time that we report. So for next year, it's going to be 2026 based upon 2025 data. Right. So this is just how we have the second page of our safety snapshot set up. At the top is what we consider our major statistics. You know, that's if you were to look at this document, I hope your eyes go first to those first three boxes on the top row before it gets to the rest of the report card or the safety snapshot, to keep reminding myself what the name is. So this is how we have it set up right now. We have the crash trends, which is the KSI crash totals, the killed and fatal crash number, and the serious injury crashes. And the up-down arrows just reflect the previous 5-year average from the chart that's in the top middle. And then the chart on the top right is the number of people that are seriously injured or killed on our roadways. And then we have some of the other crash numbers there. We also have we also have some data for the rail incidents and casualties. Incidents are what we're classifying in our rail plan as collisions with the train that did not result in someone being injured or someone being fatally struck from the train. And the rail casualties are the number of people that are killed or injured from a collision that happened with the train. And our second page, or our third page, for the second page of data, is some of our other factors that we committed to tracking in our Prior Safety Action Plan, which is in Chapter 10, in case you're interested. And then this last page, this is where we are going to track some of those other notable actions that you all were just talking about. So in one of our meetings, like what James said, we're going to accumulate this information so we can make it as part of that final submittal for the monitoring of our progress. And this is where we will put that information. It doesn't have to be one page. This is just an example of how it could be set up. Now, before I get to the next for tracking our progress on our different actions, which is Chapter 9, this document. Does anyone have any comments or questions they would like to
I have a
raise?
question, Josette Southern Broward County. Just curious, because we tried to do this at Fort Lauderdale when I was with the Vision Zero program there, tracking electric bike and e-scooter and micro-mobility devices. What we ended up doing was having scooters grouped in with bikes, but I know that there's a movement, and Rachel online can attest to this. They're creating ICD-10 codes in trauma centers to be able to better classify trauma related to micromobility devices. And I was just curious if we have a plan here to incorporate reporting as well. Thank you.
So as of right now, we are going to be updating our safety dashboard on a yearly basis. So later on this year, we will have the 2025 data posted. Since we are looking at it at a entire county level, depending upon what are the criteria that it's used for police recording as of this time, I believe that's what we're going to report on for now. But it doesn't mean that we cannot change it as police crash reporting gets updated, and hopefully with new legislation that it becomes part of the police crash reporting system. We'll be able to report on those.
And if Rachel wants to say something, I'm not sure how to bring her online. This is James Cromer, but it may be possible to get information from some of our medical care providers that they are tracking at their trauma centers the crashes at that level of detail that the Signal 4 data is not. So until the Signal 4 data tracks that may be something we could bring in some additional information if that's available.
Eric?
Like a quick recommendation. So, our master plan is not static, right? It can be changed, and there could be suggestions from this group, or there could be improvements in technology. And so just one of the items you can say working on to next year is awareness of this issue. And, getting to the hospitals or getting to the police departments to categorize it in a certain way. So that could be an action item.
Yeah. No, for sure. They're 100% correct. And yes. Any other comments or suggestions? Or if anyone who's online, they can go ahead and unmute themselves.
Hi, this is Rachel. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I didn't have the ability to unmute before. So we're not actually collecting it. We're not able to collect it at the granular level that Signal 4 Analytics is. One of the biggest pushes that we're trying to work on right now is educating our first responders so that they know that when they respond to a call that is a suspected e-bike or scooter or any type of micro mobility device, that they document clearly in the summary section. And then they subsequently document whether or not a helmet was used or seen on the scene. And then we can then use that data in our trauma registry. We can only get our trauma registry data from two places. We either get it from the EMS run report or from the H&P when the patient comes in. And so if it's not in those two places, it doesn't go into the registry, which then gives us an inaccurate picture of what's really going on, if that makes sense. So that's one of the biggest things we're doing right now. I mean, we don't have exact locations, but it is helpful to know the trends that we're seeing at the hospital in terms of increases in injury patterns, ages, etc. So we are tracking and trending for sure.
This is James Corman. That's one of the things that we face dealing with the countywide basis, that we always look at information that is consistent across the county and reliable. So building on what Eric said, this may be something we need to continue to monitor and be aware of.
Oh, for sure. And if anyone is interested, I mean, hopefully everyone has seen our safety dashboard. It's also on page 40 of our technical report. So if you want to just take a quick scroll at it, you're more than welcome to look at it. Or if you want to hear me do a demonstration of it, you can also watch the, 15-minute video that we have posted on our website, or maybe it's 5 minutes, I'm not sure. Or you can watch our last TAC meeting and MPO board meeting of doing a live demonstration. All right, so next up is our progress report. So in chapter 9, we have a lot of programs, policies, and projects that we committed on tracking. And how are we going to do that? Hopefully we'll be able to follow this spreadsheet that we created. Let's see if I can find it. So this is a spreadsheet that we've put together that'll help make tracking a little bit easier. So then when we do our next report card, we can export this directly to the report card and make it as part of the backup to that report card for where we are with all the different actions, with the different policies and programs and projects that are listed in chapter 9 of our BSAP technical plan. Some cool things about this is the most complicated spreadsheet I think I've ever been a part of creating. I'm not really quite sure how this works, but the cool thing is these are all the different actions here on this tab. And as you update the different years, it'll automatically repopulate this tab with that information. I'll even do a live demonstration for you all. So you will see here, for instance, the first action says update safety dashboard. It says 2025 and that we updated it. So I'll just go there. See, right now we have 2025 and that's the information. I'll put here, Eric Powers told us to do it, right? For instance, in theory, it is going to update automatically here. So it automatically updated the year for the latest year that's shown on that tab, and also the latest update. So this is how this is the spreadsheet that we're going to use to track all the different policies and programs and projects on a yearly basis. So we're going to be working with many of you all, that the MPO is part of this, the county, FDOT, and many of our local municipalities and other agencies. So James and I here at the MPO and our other staff will be coordinating with you all, and hopefully we can progress through many of these actions, and hopefully we can complete them sooner rather than later. So hopefully we can see a trend down of our kill and serious injury crashes countywide.
And this is James again, if I can mention two things. So the sheet that was in that Latin this filler. We didn't do one for this year because going through the end of 2025, we were still finishing up the safety action plan. The board approved it in 2026. So it would have been just reporting that we were doing the work that we already did. But for next year, we can do that write up and provide that information. The other thing too is as we move forward, I will look to this committee to hold our feet to the fire. So for example, we do the Broward MPO Unified Planning Work Program. It's our 2-year budget. And Fazil and I created a list of projects that came out of the safety action plan and submitted those for funding. And we did get some funded, and we got some that didn't get funding, and some that did get funding that then got taken away. And so we can fill you in on that, and you can then tell us to tell our leaders and board to fund things. So, that's I'm kind of setting the path for you all to give us direction. So for example, our technology safety action plan was a great document, has a lot of good information, but it was a lot of stuff that we can't necessarily do. And we proposed having a consultant come in and help us figure out what's the plan of what we can do in Broward and with our partners at FDOT and the county and the cities. And our director said, well, maybe we can do that at a staff level. Okay, that's fine. We also looked at doing more work that's related to our school zone safety analysis and working with local governments to help prepare them that they can pursue safe routes to school or other kinds of funding to do the safety improvements around schools. And that had funding that then got taken away, but we're hoping that we get more funding next year. So again, if you can help us make the case. And there will be some stuff that's not even, there's 50 projects, 20 something programs, 20 something policies. So there's a lot. So again, that spreadsheet that Oslo showed us is a good way for us to keep track of where we are making progress and where we're not.
Any comments before we move on? Anyone online wants to say anything? Feel free to unmute yourself. In 3, 2, 1. All right, James, you're all right.
So we're doing pretty well with our schedule. I'm going to go a little shorter in this discussion of policy analysis. And Colleen, this is something that you'd asked about. And some of you may have seen this before, but one of the work tasks that we had as part of our safety action plan was a policy analysis. And as you may recall, well, here's some background about the difference between policies, kind of a vision that a local agency can set, then the regulation and ordinances enforce that and different standards. So they each have a different role in establishing policies. So we did a survey of an inventory of our local agencies to find out who has done complete streets policies, Vision Zero policies, safe system approach. We also did a best practice search nationally and looked at where the gaps are between what we're doing and what the nationals can tell us. And then we wanted to have an approach to improving policy outcomes from various different ways. We also looked at the performance of local governments and then used an FHWA framework to rank them and to see who's doing better and not. And from that, we have 3 focus areas of action that we as the MPO cannot tell you what to do, but we want to monitor, Eric, say, here's what's going on, and talk about it. So as we did our data analysis, we did 2 surveys, went around to the local governments and said, tell us what you've done. And then from that information, we were able to dive into some of the regulations and ordinances and whatever else was at that local level and created a map that shows all our different local governments, and Broward County's on there also, in terms of who's done what, in terms of complete streets, Vision Zero, and safe systems approach. So the green indicates that they have something, and the red is where, rather than say they don't, there's an opportunity to get something. And so this is just an indicator. And we also have then a listing by city, who has complete streets policies, who's adopted resolutions, who's created a master plan, codes, design guidelines, design standards, things of that sort. And as we see, there's a lot of people have talked about it, but fewer have taken action to actually get commission approvals to say, yes, the city supports this. Same with the Vision Zero. We have a few that have actually taken action, which is great. And then we also have, in terms of a safe system approach, those that have moved forward with that. And for Nana and Chief Barnes, Davey kind of leads the way with us. This is amazing. So with that, we then were able to look at where there are gaps in the system. So part of what happens is that I know a lot of us, and Max, I'm going to use you as an example. I know you're not a local agency person, but you're excited about getting something done in a city. And you see a project, you say, I want to get this done. Well, if that city doesn't have any ordinances or standards or regulations in place that support complete streets, it's a little concerning for an engineer to come in and say, I want to sign off on something that just because Max, who's an active citizen, wants to see it done. And then taking it a step back, if the commission or the council has not approved this, it's not even the direction that the city's officially taken, that puts that design engineer planner a little bit more at risk. And so we're looking at 3 different tiers. You don't have to have your commission authorize stuff first. You can be like Max, fight the battle at the project level, or you can fight it at different levels of policy and regulation. And so with that, we developed a framework. So this policy foundations is that first thing, getting the local board official action, a resolution of support of complete streets, adoption of a safety action plan, approval of a Vision Zero goal. And then the next level is regulatory, taking that official action from your commission and incorporating it into your land development regulations and creating design standards, different guidelines, so that when a project comes in, the staff can say, this is what needs to be happening. And then the third level is implementing it into projects. And so we propose, this is a little bit more detail on how that could happen, with different tasks. And we're running a little short on time, so we can talk more about this in the future. But we would like to, as we go forward, monitor with our local governments who is doing what. So Daniel, not to pick on you, but we have Lauderhill here. So you all have adopted local policies, but there's an opportunity to adopt a Vision Zero regulation or resolution, safety action plan. You've incorporated safety or partially incorporated safety in some of your comp plan updates. You have done code ordinances. So there's, again, for each city, there's a chance to look and see what can be done. This group here today, we also have it opened up to the people who are formerly part of the Complete Streets Advisory Committee, which became the Road for Families Advisory Committee. And so they would meet regularly and talk about complete streets programs and policies. And they were very helpful in getting our complete streets guidelines established and also our complete streets master plan. But a lot of times they just had meetings to talk about, here's what projects are going. So we want to offer the policy analysis approach as a way to work with our local partners, each of you, and be helpful if we can to help you get the official approvals for different things, to help you get your regulations in place, and then to help you incorporate it in projects. So that's the policy analysis approach, Colleen, that kind of, we're not necessarily creating policy as much as providing guidance and support. Any comments from Colleen or anybody else on this? And once again, this is an item that we could have spent more time on. When I presented this to the MPO board, I think I had 30 seconds. So I told the board members, we hope your staff will be talking to you about this. So at least I had 5 minutes this time. Anything else on this then? And for example, Richard was around with Broward County adopting the Complete Streets guidelines that the Broward MPO developed, and the Complete Streets team. Josette's been part of that. So, yeah. All right, Fazal?
Yeah, the next meeting, we could probably go through all the different, or where we have some of our resources and deliverables that we generate.
Okay. And hold that thought for 2-3 more slides. So if nobody has any comments on this, are there any other items? And I'm going to let the public have a chance to speak also, but any other items that anybody wanted to make sure that we bring up today? I think giving you all 30 seconds at the start was good. Ken.
I want to offer a little different perspective on what we're doing and how we're doing it. Historical perspective, back between 1954 and 1975, I think it was the Vietnam War. Many of us remember that. We saw daily reports on it. It was the most reported war ever. So we knew everything that was going on with it. At the same time, there was an analysis done about the number of traffic deaths in the United States during that same period. As compared with that 58,000, there were 975,000 deaths. And I didn't see that on the headlines ever. You know, we get local reporting, but it didn't see much response, much activity to address it as it should be. 975,000 people to me is a war. You know, many times what we saw in Vietnam, 17 times the fatalities. More recently, if we look at 2011, I'm sorry, we had a relatively low number. This is nationwide numbers of about 32,000 deaths. That started ramping up as time went on significantly, over 40,000. It's coming back down a little bit. But if we apply the same rule and say how many deaths occurred between 2011 and 2025, it's 558,000. That's another war. So my perspective is to look at this in terms of a war, in terms of an increased sense of urgency. This is an emergency. This is our families, our friends, strangers. We're killing each other off in record numbers. And there's an awful lot that we're doing about it. And I applaud the planners and the designers, especially the engineers. You're doing the best you can. You know what to do. I don't think it's a matter of figuring out what to do, but it's a matter of all the other priorities, the funding, working with other agencies and so forth. And I say, do we declare war against this situation? And what the hell can we do to make a difference, make a bigger difference? So I'll wander down that rabbit hole later on, but that's my 30 seconds worth.
You know, coincidentally, I found a quote the other day, and it wasn't about this, but it's Robert Reich, and he was talking about it's not about what this country can or cannot afford, it's about priorities. So we were talking to a lot of people about funding for projects and getting them done. And so I remember when I worked at another level of government and somebody would come back and say, oh, we don't have money for that. And my response was, well, we do, but it's a question of what do we want to spend it on? So I think Robert Wright said it better than I did. But it's that whole idea of what's our priorities. And so I think Ken is in a good position as a community champion to be able to say things to our elected officials that we as agency staff cannot. And so we'll look to our community partners to help us with that. Allison, you're kind of an agency government. I mean, and Barbara, you're a government employee, so you can say certain things and not other things too, right? Yeah. So we'll look to all our different partners, Cecilia, Christine, some of the others that can say things. So yeah, if we can make that case. And let me see if any of our public has anything that they want to say. All right. Okay, Kathy? All right.
Let me add a couple of things too, James.
Okay.
A couple of things we can do, I think, is take a harder look at communications, communicating with the public to have the public realize how serious an issue this really is, put it in the context they just did, and also our elected officials. There's a lot they can do if they have the will. I had looked at what the difference is between Hoboken with 0 fatalities for umpty-ump years and ours. And the big difference was they said enough is enough, and they created the will to make stuff happen, even if it was unpopular. Speed limits, doing away with parking spaces. They said, we've got to stop this, and indeed they did. So I would like to see more of that happen here, but all around the country. Other cities have started to achieve Vision Zero, but there's a long way to go. But a lot of it has to do with a commitment on the part of the people who can make the decision to just, damn it, do it.
Christopher's going to get the money for it all too. So. Right. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, Ken. And maybe we can build more into this for some of our upcoming agendas too. We're going to talk a little bit about what else we want to cover. Anything else from the group that we want to make sure we say?
Just a one thing I just want to say for this NARC award, just going back to that. something we wrote about for that nomination. It wasn't about the plan, or well, it was partially about the plan, but it was really about the regional coordination that we conducted with many of you, through the technical working group or oversight committee for those that were able to participate on that. Many of you showed a lot of commitment for coming here every single month and hearing James, Christine, and then some of the other staff that we had here. And we do want to continue that type of great work moving forward. This is one of the most unique committees I think that we have. We have first responders, we have people from the health industry, people from different levels of our local government, county, from FDOT. So we do want to continue leveraging the opportunity that we have here with you all and our folks that are online to continue doing that great work. So hopefully maybe we can get another award in the future for some of the things that come out of this. Not saying that is the goal, but the goal is still to find ways of collaborating and getting our KSI down to 0. Hopefully sooner than 2050. We don't have to hold 2050 that year. If it can be tomorrow, that would be great.
And one of the things that we found with our snapshot, we found a few local municipalities that did have 0 for a year or two. I can't remember. Hillsborough Beach had 0 for a year or two. Then they had 1 KSI, and then and again, what you were saying, it's maybe not having to eat the whole.
What are you talking about?
What's the saying? Eat the whole cake, eat the whole pie, whatever. Eat the whole elephant, but we can do one piece at a time. Was somebody going to say something there online?
Yes, James, it's Mary Ann.
Yes.
I found it interesting about a week or 2 weeks ago when I happened to, and I don't often do this, but I happened to be looking at the online version of the Sun Sentinel, and it made a big deal in Deerfield of the accident that, crash, excuse me. I'm not sure if it was referred to that either, by the way, in the report, but I found that very sad how much news it made when there are so many ways that the public is not being informed. It could be whether it's on a TV channel or, the bad news that they share with us should be highlighted by a comment from, but there are alternatives. We never hear that. I know they can speak for 2 minutes maybe on a topic, but if we're going to communicate, as we've been speaking about, how are we going to communicate that there are many agencies that are trying to combat the war, as Ken is describing it? Are they aware? So personally, I think it's an important part of what we're doing to share what we're trying to accomplish while we're going through this transition, if that's the case.
And this reminds me of a conversation I was having with somebody about something else. And quite often that's the question, well, why isn't this happening more quickly? And then, here's all the reasons why it's not. But if we ask a different question, how can we make this happen more quickly? Then you're finding ways to, to change, not explain why it hasn't, but finding ways to make it happen. So this is something we want to explore. We're almost out of time, but I did want to show then for our next date then, so it's November 18th, 2:30 to 4:30. We have some ideas on what we could include for the agenda. So we've talked about, we briefly talked about that spreadsheet, and we can talk more about the improvements, the progress on the programs, policies, and projects. We in the UPWP, our MPO budget, we do have some money in fiscal year starting July 1st, 2027, to do an update to our safety action plan. And that would be an update that would then feed into our 2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So we might want to come and talk to you about some of the items that would be part of that scope, and you can help give us some input before we would go out and pursue that. This thing about policy that we've talked about, reporting back on local activities. I mentioned Eric with some of the school zone enforcement, camera enforcement. Maybe Rick might have some information too, and we could get some updates on that. Micromobility is another one. We've talked a little bit about that. We did have a presentation to our Technical Advisory Committee and Citizens Advisory Committee. And it's a question of how do we have a productive discussion about micromobility? So that may be something else we can cover. As Colleen was leaving, she talked a little bit about, it was funny as Marianne was saying this, she was talking about signage and communication about safety. So some of those things that we can do. If anybody else has any ideas though of what we can include on the upcoming agenda, please let us know. But I think we have a list of some things that we can cover. Is there anything else then that anybody would like to add?
James, I have one question.
No more nominations.
No nomination,
Okay.
without nomination. I know you identified 11 priority corridors.
Yes.
What is the implementation timeline for those corridors? And
Thank you. Real quick, we with the group there of the 338 segments on the high entry network, identified 11 priority corridors, developed concepts for all of those, got resolutions of support from almost all the local governments to move those forward. 3 of those priority corridor segments have moved forward to become amendment. And Christopher, I'm going to look for you to help. They become amendments to our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So we have Sistrunk, 31st was already in there. So Sistrunk, Southwest 10th Street, and 19th Street.
Yes, it's Sistrunk Boulevard from Northwest 27th Avenue to Andrews Avenue, 19th Street from Northwest 43rd Terrace to Northwest 31st Ave, and then Southwest 10th Street from I-95 to Dixie Highway.
And so by getting into the MTP as an amendment, then we can get it on our list of prioritized projects. And we do have the resolutions of support, which then gets it in line for funding through our draft tentative work program, which we will see in
December of this year.
Okay. So the tip that's coming up in July will not have had that yet.
Correct.
So it'll be December in the draft tentative work program, and then funding, we hope, in the next following year. And then we're looking to add another corridor this next year. I can't remember which one that is now.
That'll be through the MTP amendment process, and we are looking at Broward Boulevard as a potential corridor to add on a state facility for this program.
So the state facility, so it's a segment from 95 to the railroad tracks. What was that? You like that? Yeah, so with the county, the county's working on 34, but the county, Richard, you all have put some money, or Tony was telling me there's some money set aside for Broward Boulevard for some of the design from University. Scott, do you remember? I think Tony mentioned that 31st is going through design, and then Broward, the county is, or he put it on a list for funding for the design. Doesn't ring a bell. We'll follow up. Yeah. Fadil? Yes.
So we have one person online that would like to speak.
Okay.
Christine.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So just 2 quick things. I wanted to kind of address what Ken was saying, and that I agree with you, Ken. Like, we need to take action. I love how you put that. And one of the main things we talked about during the plan was to really redesign streets to be self-enforcing, to create the outcomes that we want. And so just wanted to let you know that I'll be leading another Safe Streets Design Guidance Manual training at the APA conference in October. So that's happening, but I think that maybe there's opportunities through this board to pursue other opportunities to host more workshops. So just in the future, looking for those opportunities. And if you want to host a workshop, I can give you all the materials, or you can just ping me and I can help partner with you to host a workshop so that we can get the word out about all the safety countermeasures that are available and kind of walk through how to do that on corridors in the more immediate future. So thank you.
There's more that I want to say, but I also want to acknowledge that we're past 4 o'clock. Respectful of your time. So if there's nothing else.
One more.
No more nominations.
Actually, this is for no more nomination before 24. On 24, we have to take a meeting anyway. Richard, I know you mentioned last time that 31st in design. Is there any status update on how far you're with the design?
I think Scott could answer that question better than I can because he's designing it.
Yeah, we've designs underway. We're out getting survey actively as we're speaking, and we're getting the project started. So it's underway.
Is there any estimated timeline for the design completion?
I would say probably a year and a half at this point. Because again, until we get that survey back, no, we can't really move forward. So
Okay, thank you.
And just a reminder, we want to thank the county and all the local partners because the county is applying some safety techniques that they're not necessarily new to that corridor, but you're trying some things that might not have been done in the past.
correct. We're taking the recommendations that came from this study that we did on the corridor, and we'll be implementing almost everything that we did through this team. So
great.
The design includes only short-term components, or you are including the complete solution that came through for the long-term implementation? How you are considering the design elements? Does it consider everything that came through the study? I know Karen and other cities, we worked on this project. That's why you do have concern that what you are doing, if we don't know, because we get questions from the city commission and the city manager. And if we don't get the update, basically we cannot give any information. That's why I'm asking. We have 5 other municipalities involved in this project. So it's better if you can give us update on that on regular basis. We can keep our city commission informed.
sure, we could do that. I'm more than happy to. But yeah, we're implementing everything that we worked on within this board and the committee that we brought in before. So the same concept is what we're bringing forward.
Thank you. Excellent.
All right. I'm going to declare this meeting done. And Maksud, you can talk to Scott and Richard more in the hallway. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.